Today, we're talking about how 30 days of 10,000 steps changed my health and happiness at 60. Now, I turned 60 this year, and if you have any wisdom or insight to share with me, please put it in the comments below. I would love to hear from you because turning 60 for me was kind of a pivotal point in my life. I decided that I was not going to continue doing what I was doing, which wasn't really working, hoping that one day something would change and it would be different. No, I was going to make some changes and see if I could recalibrate myself. So I started thinking about what are the things that I can do that will help me feel better, live longer, have more energy, and just be happier. And so I came up with this list, and I want to share this with you. Because maybe you've already done some of these things, and you can tell me, what else should I be doing? And I am not doing these in any particular order, but the first one is getting 10,000 steps per day. Now, I had no idea whether or not I could do this, or even why I chose 10,000 steps. It just seemed like a good number, but I knew that I was getting older, and I knew that my steps were probably going down. And since the pandemic, I definitely know that my steps were way down. I used to walk everywhere. I don't know if you've been to Chicago, but it's very walkable. You can get pretty much anywhere downtown by walking, and I did that for years. Then the pandemic hit, and I was just staying home. I'd go out once in a while, but I wasn't going anywhere near as far or as much. So I figured, okay, well, let's try to get up to 10,000 steps. Now, you may have heard that the 10,000 steps thing comes from a Japanese company that made pedometers. And yes, they called them 10,000 steps because that sounded like in Japanese, that sounded like death and suffering. So, anyway, kind of a dark origin story, but I didn't know that when I was setting out to do this. What I did do was I got myself a little Fitbit because I wanted to track my steps. And yes, there are plenty of ways to measure your steps without getting an expensive device or watch or whatever. You can do it all kinds of ways. But I wanted to track it. And so I got my little Fitbit and I started walking. Now, I will say that the first couple of days, I couldn't figure out how to get 10,000 steps in. But then I realized that I had two options. One was to get up and move around more during the day. Now I work from home, so I can do that. But I also noticed that it doesn't take too many big walks to add up to 10,000 steps. So for example, if I go out and I do a 30-minute power walk, that's 3,500 steps. So if I do two of those, I'm halfway to 10,000 steps. So really, it's not that hard to break it up into chunks and get those chunks done throughout the day, and I found myself actually doing that fairly easily, and I noticed after about a week that I was feeling so much better. I had more energy. I slept better that night. I woke up the next morning and I was ready to do it again. And so that really surprised me. I thought, wow, this is really making a difference. What was surprising about it, though, was I didn't expect it to make that much of a difference. But I definitely did notice that my mood was better, that I felt better in my body, I felt more energized. I was actually less hungry. I lost a couple of pounds, which was nice. I didn't set out to lose weight, but my eating habits didn't change, but my activity level did. So I guess that does make sense. I also noticed that I was sleeping better. Now, I've talked about that in other videos and the importance of sleep for fat loss. And if you haven't seen those videos, check them out. There'll be links somewhere here. I also noticed that my stress levels were lower. I was more relaxed. I was more patient. I was in a better mood. And not only that, I was more engaged in everything that I was doing. So it really made a huge difference in my cognitive function as well. I just felt sharper. I felt more focused. And so I really can attribute that to this exercise, to this walking. Now, I do realize that some people aren't able to walk, and some people have injuries, and there are alternatives to walking. There are things that you can do that will give you a similar result. The important thing is just to get moving. Sitting all day is bad for you. Just sitting, even if you're standing, you need to get your body moving. And if you can't do that for an hour a day, find ways to break it up. Even just 10 minutes of movement every hour can make a huge difference in your energy levels, your focus, your productivity, your health, your mood, so it makes a big difference. Number 2 on my list is intermittent fasting, and I've talked about this a lot. Again, if you haven't tried this, it's just eating all of your calories for the day in a 4-hour window and not eating outside of that window. And I have found that I feel better when I do intermittent fasting. I have more energy. I'm not hungry all the time. I don't snack. I sleep better. Once again, all of these things kind of compound and make you feel better overall. And of course, I do have my food choices down pat now, where I know exactly what I'm going to eat and what my macros are and my micros and all of that. So that helps. But intermittent fasting is such a powerful tool, and if you haven't given it a try, I think you should. And if you need some help with that, join us over at fastlikeagirl.com. We've got lots of resources to help you along the way. Number 3, prioritizing protein. That's a big one. If you don't prioritize protein, you are missing out. Prioritizing protein helps you feel full. It helps you maintain muscle mass. And muscle mass is so important for your resting metabolism. Muscle mass helps you look better. It helps you perform better. It gives you strength. It gives you endurance. And it's so easy to overlook protein. So many times when we're tired, we grab a snack, and if that snack happens to be high in carbs, we might not even realize that that's what we're grabbing. Our brains are kind of trained to crave that carbohydrate, but our bodies don't really need that carbohydrate. So if you just kind of reset your brain and say, no, I'm going to grab some protein instead, you will feel better. You won't be hungry later. You'll have more energy. And so it's such an easy thing to do. So those are 3 things that have made a huge difference for me and that I'm trying to continue to do every single day because I want to feel this good forever. And I think that we can all do that. We can all learn to feel this good. We can feel this good physically, mentally, emotionally. And it's worth it. It's so worth it. Okay, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Share it with somebody who needs to hear this, who needs to know about these 3 things. And if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. I would love to have you here. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.